Mentally feel like Kobe, I'm like Jokic with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me, I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. Euro step like Ginobili, from young OG to the OG. From nosebleeds to floor seats, circle stronger than Cuban links. My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's a reach. We ready. Who ready?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the One-on-One Sports Show, the first show of the year. Happy New Year to everybody on the BMU space here. Good to be here on this eve to the greatest NFL weekend, in my humble opinion. I love Wild Card Weekend. It is by far. The Super Bowl almost seems like it's an anomaly. It's like an ending. You know what I mean? It's like a marriage ending. It's just like, you know, you got to go through that off season, and then you got to wait for the draft and the combines and all that kind of stuff. So, but this here is the most hype this weekend. Plus, we got the college playoffs going on. But again, good to have you guys with us on this One-on-One Sports Show, the first one of the year. I am joined, as always, by my man Shawnee. Good to have you here, my brother. What's going on?
What's up, Mr. Ben? How was your holidays?
Holiday was great. Obviously, I got a little sun, a little R&R, a little relaxation on the Love Boat. And so my wife and I, we went over the Caribbean, rode some horses and, saw some history and whatnot. So it was definitely a very much needed. I hadn't been on a cruise in 25 years. So, definitely we're already planning our next one. Hopefully we might do some in the Mediterranean, God willing, later this year. But certainly, my last one graduates in May. And so, I think my wife and I, we're looking at a world tour. So God willing, if everything comes together. But very well needed. Great holiday. Great, time off with the family and everything. How was yours, sir?
It was cool. I mean, we did the hosting of Christmas here at the house. And then Thanksgiving went to her sister's house.
Mm-hmm.
We just basically spent it around family. And then also I went down to my folks' house in Houston. So basically just spent it with family, both up here and back home. And that's basically it. Only thing I'm about to do now, I got the TV playing on this big game, this big NBA game going on right now between the Cavs and Thunder. So I definitely got my eyeballs on that. The two number one seeds on the respective conferences playing each other. So far, a good game. Other than that, holidays just spending time with family for the most part.
Yes, sir. That's what's up. What's up? The coach, I don't know. You got a filter on. You look about 20 years younger, sir. I don't know what's going on. You doing that CGI, takes 20 years off you or something like that, but you looking good, sir. You got them Terminator shades on and everything. So what's going on with you, sir? Yep, you muted. Unmute yourself.
Coach is a spirit right now.
He's in the class. He's still working on that background. But we'll get the show started. Our brother Dante, I know he's running late traffic. Certainly we get it. Certainly, hopefully we'll. Okay, all right. Take care of what you guys. You can just come back in.
And come back in. I'm gonna go.
You got it. You got it. Yep. Thumbs up. But Dante, he should also be here shortly as well. And so definitely looking forward to chopping up with them. But yeah, man. I mean, obviously, with the vacation and Christmas, we host Christmas Eve is with my family, and then Christmas Day with my wife's family. So we were, as soon as we got back from the trip, we went into prep mode. And so we were working that whole week. So, definitely.
Both of y'all families in the same town?
Well, everyone's in New Jersey pretty much. So,
okay.
But everybody was, coming from different places. And some people, didn't come. And everyone's now it's whole because everyone's older now. So everyone's spread out and across the country and everything. So it's not, so it's hard to kind of get everybody together and at one time. We just kind of see them throughout the year. So it wasn't overly, it's not like we had 100 people here, but definitely just the work to get it done. And quickly you take your vacation hat off, and then you got to get into family mode and whatnot. So yeah. But again, so I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of the games live. I did watch on the cruise ship. They had a lounge, a bar there, like a bar lounge 100-foot screens. I mean, so they had some of the college games on. They had the NFL
Mhm.
games on. I was on there with my Hawaiian Steelers shirt. Didn't do me any good because I lost. I lost four in a row. So maybe that was the sign of things to come. I should never take the shirt on the trip. That might have been my faux pas there. But other than that, definitely had a good time. But yeah, man, let's get this thing started. I mean, obviously we had a huge college. There's the coach. There's the coach. Still looking young there, but certainly better with the avatar. But definitely, big. The college playoffs had taken place, and obviously there's a lot of games on there. A lot of games were certainly predictable. But I got to call out one game certainly in particular. Like I said, I'm not going to spend too much. If we can show the slide presentation. I think I have the just the brackets, so we can just kind of have the brackets to refer to as we talk about this. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. NFL we'll get to in the next segment, but let me skip over here. So again, fairly predictable in I guess some of the opening games. I don't think you guys let me know. Were there any surprises that you saw in the opening? I guess the opening brackets. Everything seemed pretty predictable to me, so I wasn't overly surprised.
Well, I knew it would basically there's a good chance it'll be like this because for one, this whole 12 team bracket was established and expanded to 12 teams for money reasons.
Hmm.
And so you knew as much as you saw when we had the four teams and how it was a big deal about them putting the four best teams in the country. A lot of times that last seed, that fourth seed, you may have like maybe normally you had two, but sometimes you had like three teams fighting for that last spot.
Hmm.
So when they expanded it to this 12 team, you knew there was going to be teams that would have never even sniffed the 14 playoff last year.
Right.
But because they wanted money, because I think it was a good idea. I think it was a good idea. One, it gives those teams, for example, well, it was a big deal here to Texas, but even though they was in the playoff last year, but teams like Notre Dame, really Notre Dame and Penn State when they hosted those games at home. Ohio State and UT, they've been in the playoff fairly recent. It really would have been a big deal if SMU or Indiana, well, really SMU would have, if they would have beat Clemson, would have host, no, because they would have been the first round bye. But anyway, just with the 12 teams, I expected, basically the first games was going to be kind of lopsided.
Yeah.
You had the good one with UT and Clemson, which was surprising because that looked like it was about to be a runaway. But UT, they did the same thing versus Arizona State. They have a bad habit of letting teams back in.
Yeah.
They have the talent to win it all. Problem is they're inconsistent. You don't know who's gonna show up. So that's the thing that's going to be interesting when they play Ohio State. But the reason I like this 12 team because it brought the eyeballs back to even though we had the 14 playoff, college bowl games was I don't want to say they was dying, but they definitely was getting kind of screwed with a mixture of players not wanting to play. If they didn't make the playoffs, they everybody taking off. So nobody playing in the bowl games. The bowl games are losing their luster. So with this, even though these first round games were eventually blowouts for the most part, it still brought eyeballs to the playoffs.
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
So that right there is a plus.
Mm.
And every game so far, you just been, you know, keeping up with it. So because before then, I remember who was at Florida State last year. Just a quick example of them when they did not make the the Final Four. Everybody just took off. Everybody just took off, and then they had that debacle of a game versus Georgia. So now, I mean, they still doing that in the other games, but at least these 12 games, or these 12 teams, it just brought a whole lot of eyeballs, and it felt different when they was playing the games at home. So that was
Mm.
definitely a good touch.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Coach, any thoughts on I guess on the opening round of games? Anything that kind of caught your eye or attention, or was it pretty much predictable um, based on the breakdown how you saw it?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
hear
we
you.
can.
Okay, it sounds choppy on my end. I'm surprised Oregon lost
But we're gonna
Ohio
get there. We
State.
so we going round by round. So
Mhm.
we got the opening
Oh,
round. Yeah, we definitely gonna talk about.
okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I'm tripping. I'm looking at this little chart. Yeah. Not really. I think everybody in the first round should have won those rounds.
Mhm.
I don't see any surprises.
Yeah,
Based off the first rounds. You talking about teams that have pretty much outside of Clemson and Texas, but these teams have pretty much wavered at, been consistent as far as the last 15, 20 years of winning games and, being in the top 15, top 10. So I'm not surprised,
yeah,
even with
yeah,
Clemson.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, pretty predictable opening round of games. Based on what you have seen, though, do you think that a team that wasn't in this either got screwed? I mean, I know everybody wants Alabama in, regardless. They can have 5 losses and they still want him in.
Mhm.
But anybody who was like, just missed the dance that you thought may have flipped this apple cart a little bit going in, or this is, you guys
Nah,
pretty,
I think they did it right because
they did it right.
those other
Gotcha.
teams that missed it, they literally all had their chance to making this big dance.
Hmm.
Like during the
Yeah.
season, they had their chance. Many of them, Alabama is Alabama, hell, even Colorado at one time. They all
Hmm.
they hold their fate in their own hands. All they had to do was
Right.
just win out. And Alabama, for a team at the time, was as good as they would. They lost their chance when they lost their game against Oklahoma. A game they
Correct.
should not have
Correct.
lost to in that, especially in that fashion.
Correct.
So no, I think these 12 was the right team because, like I said, all them other teams they had their own respective chances, and literally to the point where they controlled their own destiny,
Right.
and they all just flopped.
Right. Right. I think the only thing that can, make this a little bit, I mean, unlike college basketball, I don't think you're going to have too many Cinderella runs. I think football is just a different game where it's just hard. Like I know in the NFL, you had like 6 seeds in a conference go to the Super Bowl, wild card, team gets to the Super Bowl. I think at college level, I can't see that anytime soon. So I think certainly the cream, I guess, ultimately will come to the top. And I think we're certainly seeing that with the top teams. The only exception here, if we go to the next round, and I'll just kind of break it down. I'm going to start with the Georgia game first. Obviously, their quarterback, what he got hurt or he opted not to play. I'm not sure what
Well,
the
Carson Beck got hurt.
He
Carson Beck
had
got hurt. So
season-ending surgery, yeah, on his
yes,
elbow.
yes. So that obviously they were compromised going into that Notre Dame game. But even then, I've never trusted Notre Dame in a big spot. Every time they've gotten either to a national championship or they got played against a major SEC team, always getting blown out. So I really wasn't confident in them. But even still, certainly not having you starting quarterback. Obviously, we could have been talking about a very different outcome, or at least a more
Well,
competitive game. The game
well, you
really
ask
wasn't that
Georgia
competitive.
fans, they
But
wasn't a big fan of Beck anyway. They
hmm
wanted that backup because you remember he was the quarterback that basically led them over that victory at UT in the SEC title game. 'Cause he played that, he got that touchdown in the second half, which ultimately was
hmm
the game winner. But yeah, they
hmm
wasn't Carson Beck. He wasn't the one after Brock Bowers left and went to the NFL. He
hmm
has not been the same quarterback, and they was not happy with him.
hmm
So I mean, before the game, they was happy that the I forgot the backup quarterback name, but they was preferring him. They got their wish, and it's still he's a backup for a reason, basically.
Yeah, and it's asking a lot for him to start in essentially it is a playoff game. So again, you're asking a lot for him to take that on. I think Notre Dame. I think overall, I think they're a well balanced team. I think they have a really good defense, and certainly I think they're well coached offensively. I still worry about them going up against a team that can really score. But certainly, nevertheless, the seeds fell the way they fell. But again, I'm going to say that obviously Georgia not having Beck at QB. I think he could have been at least a closer game, if not certainly turn the tide of the game if he started. Obviously, you had the Penn State matchup against. I'm having a brain breathe right now.
Boise.
Boise. Thank you. So you got a chance to see your boy up close. So I thought Penn State did a decent job of holding him in check. I think he got some runs like towards the end of the game, but I think overall, I think Penn State kind of dominated pretty much from start to finish. Any thoughts on that, or did this game change any of your view in terms of the running back for Boise? His draft status, his prospects for the NFL. I mean, I think he was like 67 yards away from breaking, I think the college running record of some kind. But
close,
yeah. But what was your view? What was your view on the Penn State Boise?
I'll let you go first, Coach, because I give my thoughts on this, but it's going to lead to another connection with another game. So, but Coach, I'll let you go.
I mean, I was happy that he got to get 100 yards again. He had to work for it, man. Penn State was on him. And I think, it shows, Boise State, they want to walk with the big dogs, but I think they just a little bit under when it comes to football. But I think it was great for him. It's going to boost his career. I think he's going to be a definitely top 10 draft pick. With the resurgence of running backs, but he's going to have to go to the right team. Everybody's fast in the NFL, and everybody can hit. So I just don't think, Boise State could have lived up to anybody in those top four. I don't think they could have competed against anybody in that capacity. But he got 100 yards again. He had to work for it. And yeah, man, salute to him, man. I hope he have a great career, man. He can take a lick. Getting hit don't really bother him because he was getting hit a lot and he still came out pretty good, man. It's unfortunate.
What do you think he may land in a draft? Because a lot of running backs don't get drafted that high. Are we talking third, fourth rounder? Or you think he may go higher than that?
I think he'll go late first round.
Late first round. Okay.
Yeah. Teams like Dallas need him. Somebody like Dallas that needs running backs. I think we're going to see a resurgence of running backs just because of what we've seen this year. But teams need a good running back, and he's a every down back to me. So late first round teams.
We got the resident Cowboy fan in the house. Would you like to see this guy wear the blue star?
I would like to see him, but the Cowboys got so much holes. Right now, they need to update the trenches. So I probably would go with a high profile offensive lineman first, because you just always. Now, if Genty is available for the second round, I'll definitely get him. But you just always have to upgrade those trenches, man. So I wish they would have had. Now, when they was in the position when they drafted Zeke, number 4, they had a good O-line. So yeah, you just plug yourself right on in there. Right now, they just have so much holes. It don't really make sense for them to focus on a skill position when they need to upgrade that O-line. So
yeah, for sure. All right, so moving on to now.
Well,
yeah.
My thoughts.
You said you had a time, so go ahead, finish it.
Well, going back to the first round for Penn State when they played SMU. So the quarterback for SMU, I don't know if y'all remember that game. Jennings, he pretty much took his team chances to win within the first quarter. He was just so, I don't want to say he was shook, but you can clearly he was like a deer caught in the headlights, because he had a chance. They had a chance to score a touchdown. They had it all the way down in the red zone, and he was going outside where he could have just ran for the first down, but instead of running it was a 4th down play. Instead of running for the first down, he saw one of his receivers get loose basically at the end zone, and he tried to do this push pass, which was off target, and they turned the ball over for downs. And then the next two possessions, he threw back-to-back pick sixes, and then the next possession, he threw an interception. So by that time, Penn State just like, yeah, we just, they took him out the game. Now versus Boise, I actually thought that Boise actually played well a decent game because you remember Boise had a touchdown that was called back. I think for I don't know if it was a legal shift or something. It was called back. That touchdown would have had the game at 3 points.
Mm.
And then their field goal kicker missed a field goal, which would have made it a one-score game to a 7-point game. And then Penn State went on. I think they had like a long run touchdown to make it the 31-17 final score.
Mm.
That game was closer. Boise just could not get over the hump. But the way Penn State, when we're talking about, y'all was asking about how did Genty look in this game, it literally looked like as soon as Genty got the ball, he was trying to get past three Penn State defenders.
Yeah.
They swarmed this
They
dude. He
swarmed
couldn't
him.
do anything because they knew that's your only weapon.
Mhm.
So you're talking about 8 in the box. If I had to film, they looked like they was playing like 9 in the box. Because Boise State quarterback was not making them pay.
Right.
So we was like, man, we just gonna put our stuff in the box. And I'm telling you, every time Genty, he was like, as soon as he got the ball in the backfield, he trying to shake somebody off. And then as soon as he was able to get past one defender, there's also good tacklers. They
Right.
was just getting him when he just could not break one. So it was a hell of a game plan by Penn State. They got a good defense, but literally they just focused all on the running back.
Yeah.
So them going to Notre Dame, it's going to be interesting because I think I think it's going to be an ugly game, really.
Mhm.
Both offenses at times. I think Penn State has the edge on offense. Notre Dame, it's basically just going to be big play.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, it's just going to be, if you like defense, you're going to get your defense.
Yeah,
That's
for
what
sure.
it is.
For sure. And one thing, shout out to both Notre Dame and Penn State. I mean, I think, are we seeing, now again, correct me if I'm wrong, Coach, have we ever had an African-American coach in a college final? Because you're going to have one.
I don't think so.
So this is a major focus. I know there's been a lot of, with Prime changing the game, but you have two, certainly African Americans competing, and certainly, so I think that's a major achievement in and of itself. And so again, I'm definitely looking for the historic nature of that. Plus, these are also two programs that for a long time these were like independents. Obviously, Notre Dame has that NBC contract, which they've had forever. Now, again, I've never quite gotten the lore of Notre Dame. Like, you hear about Notre Dame, you hear like your grandfather's time. You know what I mean? Or the last time they were relevant, I remember back in the day in 1988, they won the Heisman. So you had Tim Brown, and then you had Raji Ishmael. I think he won it. I think the year 89 or 90, something like that. He won he also won the Heisman. So I remember the Lute Holtz era is kind of what I remember seeing back in the day. But really, they've had splashes here or there. They got to a final, and again got blown out. But I don't know if the lore of Notre Dame is what it may have been in generations past. I don't know, Shawnee, how do you feel about that? About Notre Dame? Like, let's say if Notre Dame runs the table and wins the national championship, do you think that elevates them in a certain way where they become the program? But to me, they're almost like no diss whatsoever, Shawnee. They kind of remind me of the Cowboys in that, they have a lot of the like I said, they got the TV deal, they got the the name recognition, they have a lot of tradition, but certainly not a tradition of winning as of late. But what would you think if Notre Dame ran the table and won it? What would that do to college football, or what would it do for that program? Would they be back to former glory from 40 years ago?
I think they just get their moment in the sun. I think they kind of like the Cowboys to a lower extent, but with the Cowboys are talked a lot by both media and the NFL fan base. Notre Dame is basically just talked about by media. You know, you don't really hear the fan base really talk
Yeah,
about
I
it.
don't either. That's why I don't. That's why I
SEC
don't get. I
basically,
don't get the contract. Like they've
yeah.
been on NBC for so many years.
But they have a good alumni base and whatnot. They obviously, if they could stay independent and get an NBC deals by themselves, they obviously have a strong alumni base,
Mhm.
almost like UT. That's how UT
Yeah,
was able to get the Longhorn Network. They say we basically don't need y'all. We can handle ourselves.
right.
But SEC schools, they recent dominance basically just took over college football.
Mhm.
Notre Dame had, like you mentioned, they had their glory days. But once SEC and Nick Saban, and then once Georgia came up a little bit, they took over college football.
Right.
And Notre Dame, like that was, I guess that was a big victory. Even though you could tell this Georgia team was not the same Georgia team of the past, but that was a big victory for them when they beat Georgia because it's not the first time Notre Dame made like the Final Four, or
Yeah, they like I said with
but when they
Chip Kelly,
played
I
an
think they made it to a
SEC
finals.
team,
Yeah,
they got dominated.
yeah,
It was not, wasn't close. But
right.
yeah, I don't think if they win the title, they will have a moment in the sun. They'll have to do it again to get really the college
Right,
football
right. But I'm
community.
thinking with NIL, I mean, this could possibly boost their NIL money. And one of the questions that was asked when we were talking about the show earlier, you had mentioned is this obviously there's no SEC team outside of Georgia. Are the glory days of SEC over? Are they still going to be the
Now,
dominant?
I gotta see more years of that. I mean, they just had to, because right now there's still, hell, the new kid on the block is still in there.
Right.
So I have to see more um for that narrative to really catch steam.
Mhm.
'Cause right now, I mean, next year you pretty much gonna have about three SEC teams in the top seven.
Mhm.
So they gonna be there. I mean, now you just gonna play against okay, what team from the field is gonna beat one of these schools?
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
they still gonna be there. But shout out to I'm not a Notre Dame fan, but I'm starting to become more of a fan of Marcus Freeman.
Mhm.
And basically his short time there, well, he been on what, 3 seasons?
Yeah.
His short
Yeah.
time there, he already did more than Brian Kelly.
Yeah. Sure.
So he's doing it. The players magnify. I think he's gonna have a strong recruiting class. Just the way they performing this year,
Mhm.
and but you could tell his connection with his players. They're always even at LSU right now, because
Mhm.
LSU they time was with Orgeron
Mhm.
when Burrow and them, they won that title. But when Brian Kelly, it always seems like there's like I don't want to see like a full connection between him and his players per se.
Mhm.
There's always, it seems like there's like
Oh, but
some.
Chip has always been enigmatic. I mean, we also saw when he went to the Eagles in the
No,
NFL.
you're talking about Chip Kelly.
Oh,
This is
okay.
Brian Kelly.
Brian Kelly. Oh,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
the
yeah,
former Patriots coach. You're right. You're right.
yeah.
Yeah, get my
It's us
colors
always
confused.
just seems to be, yeah. Chip Kelly. That whole experiment thing he did with the Eagles once he went to the NFL. I don't
That
know
yeah,
what the hell
that
he
was one
did.
of the worst.
But Brian Kelly, I remember seeing it in Notre Dame. Now I see it in LSU. It just always seems to be. I don't think people were really excited, LSU fans, when he came down there. But
Mhm.
Marcus Freeman,
Mhm.
it's like a complete opposite. Like
Right,
players, like they gravitate to him.
right.
So
But
that's
will
huge.
4 and 5 star athletes gravitate towards him
Yeah,
though?
exactly. So I mean, Brian
And that,
Kelly was a
that,
good
that that's my
coach.
question. I don't know. I don't know if he'll get like the 5 star Notre Dame, obviously. And again, even though it's for football, we all understand that it is a highly. They
Yeah,
certainly
it's like
focus a lot on
Stanford.
education.
Yeah, it's like
Uh,
Stanford.
so you're right. So it's not. It's not for everybody, So I think that
You're gonna look at them grades first and be like, we
yeah.
got
So them
got no
Jesuits or whoever's
kinesiology
there,
here now.
they're gonna be like, no, we can't take everybody. He's a freak of nature, but we can't take everybody. So I think there's always a standard there. It's like those college players who play for Duke. It's there's a
Yeah.
line there, but that being
Man,
said,
man,
Coach,
first of all, man,
what's your
stop
view
the
on Notre Dame?
stop
If Notre
stop
Dame,
listen, stop the cap, man. Listen, Notre Dame, and listen, Shawnee, you weighed in Texas. Everything above the Mason-Dixon line If Notre Dame wins this championship, you're gonna see Notre Dame from South Beach to LA stretched all across. They are a powerful school just based off the name, and it's a Catholic school. So everything Catholic, you're gonna see Notre Dame. Now, here's the catch with Notre Dame that people don't know. Notre Dame is basically a free institution. You can go to Notre Dame and pay pennies on the dollar to go. You just have to go through the admission process and maintain the grade. But Notre Dame is not hard to get into. Um, and its football program, if you notice, it's always in the know. It's always able to get its own TV deal, being an independent, major TV network. And I think with Marcus Freeman being a young guy, black, he's going to draw so much talent there, so much. And because Indiana is the national college headquarters, so everything NCAA goes through Indiana, everything. So I can see them, if he wins it, then
Mhm.
that puts him in a stratosphere beyond anything else because technically the first African American coach that wins it within his second year, young. Man, he gonna get calls from the NFL soon after, but
Mhm.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm excited
Shout out
for
to the
him.
coach from Penn State, though. He's kind of quietly going about his business as well. I don't think he gets as much as the hype of it.
Well, I be hearing Penn State. I mean, basically now, he's having a good year. But
Mhm.
prior to this season, it was Penn State fans who wasn't happy with James Franklin.
Right, right.
You know,
Right, but again, good to see again two coaches on that stage and platform. I think certainly that's a definitely an historic moment, and again, you're ensured that one or at least one will get to the final game. But I want to talk about it. To me, the most exciting game of the playoffs so far, the one with the most surprises and wrinkles to it. I got to give credit to Arizona State. They played. Obviously, they were. I don't think they were the favorites going into this game, but they pulled out every stop to try to win the game. And I think the nation, if you didn't know this guy before, everybody got to know Cam
Scatterbo.
Scatterbo. He's got the most popular name probably in college football right now. With a name like that, gritty type of guy. Now, again, I'm not saying this guy is he, top NFL prospect. Certainly, he won't go over the Boise State running back. I don't know if he has the speed to play at the NFL level, but to me, he's a football player. And I think that certainly back in the day, especially when the NFL, when they used to prioritize the fullback position, you could see him maybe like filling a role like that. So again, I still see him possibly as a again late third, maybe fourth round pick. He'll definitely play a lot of special teams or something like that. But again, just a gritty guy. But I was just really surprised or impressed with Arizona, the on size, the fake, the fakes and whatnot, and they just left it all on the table. And Texas had to again pull out. I mean, they've been inconsistent, as you were saying earlier, Shoney, all year. But definitely Arizona State gave them as much as they wanted to handle. Got to the end of the game, no overtime situation, and but again, very entertaining game. Definitely, I appreciate the game very much. But what was your view of the of that game, Shawnee?
well, one, Arizona State, they did a lot of talking before that game. They both Scatterbo and quarterback and whatnot. Scatterbo was saying he's the best running back in the country. This was before he did this before they played Iowa State in the Big 12 title game. So the thing about Arizona State, as people was you heard everything about Colorado and their projections, and they definitely performed over their projections. And people thought they was going to be like the bottom three in the Big 12. Arizona State was worse. Arizona State was predicted to finish dead last in the Big 12. I think with only 2 wins, and they messed around and won the conference. And I watched Scatterbo in particular. That he played. He had a hell of a game versus Texas. He had, I think, even better game versus Iowa State. He went off on Iowa State in the Big 12 title game. So he definitely was the main reason why that game versus UT was as close as it was. He pretty much was doing everything. Texas just could not stop him. I mean, at the beginning they came out blitz Arizona State, and then like I mentioned, they just have a bad habit of letting these teams back in the game. So he definitely made his name, put his name out there on the national map, so people know Scatterbo now. If you follow college football, but my whole thing goes, which it annoys me with today's fan base, sports fans. All they need is one game. They're gonna try to change everything. One game. I mean, if you go, all you have to go look at is the stats between the two, and they already saying that if they gonna draft Scatterbo over Ashton Genty. I'm like, what the hell? From one game.
I saw that coming. Like I said, to me, like I said, he's a football player.
Yeah, he is.
But you don't see like splash,
physical.
like nothing pops off the screen when you see this guy play. But you know he's a gritty guy. He would be, like I said, I can see him on special teams. I can see him in short yardage situations. I can see him as a fullback.
He reminds me of a running back version of Tim Tebow, as far as
wow,
they're just a football player.
Yeah,
but they are just gritty. They gonna give their heart out on that field, basically. Now, Tebow got other stuff, but just the way you could tell at the end of the game, both of those players gonna give it all they have to beat the opponent.
Yeah.
But that still don't make him better than Ashton Genty. If you go back and look at the stats, it don't even compare. Ashton Genty's numbers across the board were better. Hell, even Genty's numbers last year was better than Scatterbo.
Right.
And people was talking about Genty, his competition. I'm like, clearly, y'all obviously didn't hear Scatterbo until he played against UT.
That's right.
And Genty had a game versus Oregon where he almost had a 200-yard game. He had 3 touchdowns. And with Scatterbo in the Big 12, it was not like he was playing in the SEC. Big 12 defense, that's why their games be always so high scoring. They don't exist. Defense don't exist in the Big 12. So it's like now everybody on this Scatterbo bandwagon because of one good game. Now if you follow, like I mentioned, he had a great game the previous game too, but people didn't watch that. They didn't know about Scatterbo before then. They just saw him because he played against Texas. So now all of a sudden he's a higher draft prospect than a dude, as y'all mentioned, who almost, eclipsed the rushing record in the season in college football.
Right.
I'm like, man, and the yards, they not come. I think he almost got 1,000 yards more. The touchdowns are not there. I'm like, what the hell going on? But that's sports fans, though. I say this is why I'm glad sports fans don't.
Well, look, teams. You say sports fans. It could be. Now, I'm not saying GMs. But I could certainly see owners being like, captain. That's why sometimes the GM has to talk the owner off the cliff when, you catch lightning in a bottle. So, like, I know
Jerry Jones.
That to me, that's a Jerry move right there. Jerry be like,
Jerry won't make that.
I won't talk to him. Bring him in. I won't
see. He won't offer one game. I mean, I guess you could say because sometimes these owners be firing coaches after 3 games. Like, what the hell? Don't even give him a chance. But yeah, I was like, dude, he could be an interesting prospect. But after one game, they're gonna sit there and say he's better than Genty. I'm like, yeah, I'm glad fans don't run teams. And every time a player have a bad game, they ready to fire him, get rid of him, and then But yeah, that was the biggest thing. They played Texas good. Great, because I know that. And one more thing about that game, I know a lot of Arizona State fans are going to talk about that non-call of the targeting call.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you can have that one, but all I was going to reply with that is 4th and 13. You had another shot to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
And the Texans had to get in the end zone. They had nowhere else to go. And you let a receiver get behind your defense.
That's right. Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want to hear this targeting. You had a
well, again, I mean, I think Texas was clearly the better team. But like I said, I mean, shout out to Arizona State. They left no stone unturned. They went to the trick book. They, you know, everything to
Yeah,
stay in the
they
game
did.
and to get it to a tie. So again, very entertaining. You know, there's like David versus, I wouldn't say it's David versus Goliath, but you know, definitely it was like a heavyweight versus a light heavyweight.
The most entertaining game of the playoffs so far.
Yeah, for sure, Coach, what was your thought? I don't know how much of that game you got to see, but I said I thoroughly enjoyed that.
I don't think it came down to Texas being the better team. I always believe, especially, the college season is not as long as the NFL. And when you have a playoff like this, if you notice, everybody who had a bye lost. All the bye teams lost. Uh, because you need momentum. It's different from a bowl game, but this playoff, I think, is gonna bring more excitement to the game. But I would rather play the first round than
Mm,
to have a bye, because everybody that had a bye, it seemed like they wasn't prepared. It's like, because when you get to this level, well, when you get to this, like in the playoffs, the speed of the game gets faster. So everybody who played the week before, they was already up to speed, and it's like everybody who had a bye started out real slow, and they
yeah,
couldn't catch up to the speed of the other teams. So hence, we got shit. Everybody that had a bye is out.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
and like I said, you know, obviously, like I said, Georgia, you know, didn't have the QB per se, but I mean, the big one. Let's just get to it. I mean, Oregon. Last time Oregon, I remember when they played Ohio State 10 years ago, national championship game, got blown out, and I believe that was Chip Kelly's team. I think that Oregon squad back in 2014.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
sim result, I don't know what happened to these guys. I mean, they were number one for a good portion of the latter part of the year. Seem like totally caught off guard, unprepared, or they were just paper tigers. I don't know what to make of that. That was one of the most lopsided first halves, and they just never really got into the game. So I don't know what happened with this team. I mean, Ohio State, you know, is obviously, you know, I would have to say they're probably the favorites now to win it. But that being said,
They are.
I was really disappointed with the output from Oregon, given what they've been solely in the latter part of the year. But what was your take on it? Let's start with Coach first. What was your take on Oregon? Big disappointment. I know you said they had the bye, but big disappointment here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man, West Coast teams really can't hang with the Midwest and East Coast teams, man. It's just something about the West Coast teams, man, when they get in these games where they playing the SEC, the Big Ten, man, they don't fare too well. They struggle with points. And again,
Mm,
it just goes to show the physicality of the game. And when the weather changes, you get these type of results,
mm,
but I just didn't think Oregon was ready to play. To me, Ohio
yeah,
State pretty much dominated the whole game to me. So,
which is to me the worst indictment of a coach is that you didn't have your team ready to play. And so I don't know, you know, young guy there at Oregon. I think he has a bright future. I think with the program, but that was an embarrassment. Shawnee, what was your take on
Well,
the?
my thing is, you got to remember these are college players, younger players, and already this one thing about this playoffs is going to have these players play more games in the collegiate season that they ever played,
Mm,
and this is different than a traditional bye week in the NFL. I mean, you just your bye week is just 2 weeks, so it's basically no different than a bye week in a season. So you can keep some type of you've been through it before. You keep some type of routine. This is a longer. I mean, yes, normally there's like it depends on. Okay, say if your team made it to the Final Four in college football playoff,
mm,
it's normally like a month, nearly a month before regular season game, or maybe even a conference title game. It's usually about 3 to 4 weeks before the
Right.
the semifinals of the previous college football playoff system. For this year, those four teams that had a bye, okay, say for example, Penn State, not Ohio State, because they didn't play in there. Well, not Oregon, Georgia,
Mm.
and Penn. No, Penn wasn't there. Just Oregon and Georgia.
Hmm.
They played in their respective conference title games. So teams like they that gave them a little bit, even Arizona State, that gave them a little bit of a week closer because if they didn't, all these teams that had to buy, they obviously won their respective conference titles, but there was nearly a month because they had that title game. 2 weeks at least passed by, and then the first round of playoffs started, and then another nearly 2 weeks go by before those four teams even had a chance to play. So they nearly just sat there for a month before they had a chance to play. So this is a longer bye week. Meanwhile, the other team, they played in the first round, and they played against, I guess you could consider, I thought the Ohio State Tennessee game was going to be closer than what it was, but they played potentially against lesser talent. So they was able to get their kinks out in that first round game. And then by the time they made it to the second round, these other teams maybe were higher seeded. Some of them were, but they was clearly at a disadvantage because they were just sitting there waiting. There's only so much you can do in practice versus a team that just a couple of weeks prior was in a high stakes game. So now their engine is running, and you coming off a cold start. So I think it definitely played, you know, into this playoffs. Now, what I would like to see next year, or if they make, because I think they talking about whatever changes they want to do with these playoffs. Okay, if you a top four overall seed from the regular season, if you a top four overall seed, you are the bye week teams. You the bye. Don't forget about the conference. If you finish the regular season as a top ranked in the top four, you the bye week. Now the other schools, like for example, Boise State, Arizona State, if they ultimately win their conference title and they obviously not in the top four, you will play in the first round, but you get to host it. Your conference title earns you a playoff game at home, which could be huge. You so that way because and then you had Arizona State and Boise it could have been SMU could have been there if they would have beat Clemson. You already at a disadvantage most likely when you get a Ohio State or UT or Penn State coming to you. They obviously gonna be big favorites. So I think if they kind of do that, those four teams are already going to be the better four teams in the country because they top overall four. And then and then the other teams that end up coming most likely going to be lower seeds. I think your chance for these upsets or this embarrassing second round action it may lower. Because now you're asking a team like, okay, if SMU happen to make it to the second round, okay, you're gonna be SMU versus Georgia. Georgia will still be heavy favorites. Now, and if SMU beat them, much props to you. Now we want to look at risk because Georgia, you was already a way better team than SMU. You shouldn't have lost that game, But now, so I don't know. It's gonna be interesting what changes they're gonna make for next year.
I hear you. Let's just wrap this up by obviously, yeah. I think we already talked a bit about the Notre Dame Penn State game. Again, that game is tomorrow, but Friday night is the big one. Shawnee, this is in your backyard. This is Ohio State, Texas, in Dallas. So I'm assuming they may get 100K in there. I don't know. You know the setup more than I do, but I'm thinking this is essentially a Texas home game. I still favor Ohio State to win. I got them up by at least a touchdown. But that being said, though, that environment for the right to play for the national championship game, what's the buzz in Dallas or in Texas overall at this point? So break that down.
Well, it's interesting because it'll be like a de facto home game for the Longhorns, but currently we expecting, this is the South. We don't have the treatment for roads if snow comes, but we about to get hit with some snow,
oh really,
and ice tomorrow night into Friday. And it's going to be interesting to see by Friday afternoon. It's supposed to be the temperature's supposed to be high enough to start melting, but that evening it's going to be cold enough. It's going to be refreeze. And if you remember, this what happened in the Super Bowl back when they had the Super Bowl in Arlington, and they basically it was bad. It was bad, and they haven't had the Super Bowl there since. And now you're gonna have this Cotton Bowl, a big Cotton Bowl game, and it can really affect because a lot of these fans, yes, the game is playing Friday evening. A lot of the fans are going to come there Thursday, and I would not be surprised if our local airports here they won't be able to do it. They're going to be shut down because we expected to have a pretty nice amount of snow here, and it's just that's Thursday night into Friday morning. So I don't know. You brought up 100K. That's what got Jerry in trouble in the first place. Got to fit 100K in that building, but I don't know. It's gonna be.
What's the are tickets still available? Is it a sellout? Is it what? I mean, what are tickets going for now?
I have to look, but this weather is about to. I would not be surprised if they postpone this thing until Saturday. So, like say, it's about to be traveling hell for the fan base of these teams,
right? And I think Ohio State they're certainly gonna travel, but they're used to the inclement weather.
Yes, the roads are going to be bad. Like I say, in Texas, we don't have the treated roads for people to drive on snow. So it's once they freeze over, it's terrible. And the airport most likely will shut down. So the fans trying to fly from Ohio, So yeah, I haven't seen anything like that so far about potentially postponing this game, but I think once tomorrow come at this time tomorrow and you can see the weather, it may be interesting to look at the weather report, when it comes to this game.
Right. So who you got coming out of this one?
I don't want to sound a homer. I want to say
say it with your chest.
Because that's the frustrating about they have the talent to win this whole thing. They have the talent, but they are so freaking inconsistent. And they already had a game versus Arizona State where they couldn't stop one dude.
Right.
Now you about
and
to go.
Didn't you guys also have problems with your kicker, your field goal kicker? I mean, is he? What?
He not really during the season. He's been pretty stable.
I know, but I'm saying, but even in that game with Arizona State, he missed a.
Because Arizona State field goal kicker has been shaky. That's why they kept going. They wasn't Texas. He was supposed to be more stable. But he even missed some field goals. So
right. So
hopefully he get that out of the system by the time he play in this game right here. So, but I would say Texas because they do have a good defense. They just have to stop the big players from Ohio State, and then they'll be in it. And then it's anybody's ball game.
Right.
It's just right now Ohio State is hot, but I really do. They have the talent. It's just if you basically can you keep up with them in the beginning, but I'm gonna say UT.
Okay, coach. So I'm rolling with Ohio State. Like Shawnee's point, I think they're the hot team at this moment. They seem to find their groove. Texas, they barely escaped again a gutsy Arizona State team. So it's in Dallas. It's basically a home game for Texas. Who do you have in this?
Glory hole.
Who's that?
Was that somebody? Was that Jerry?
I want me some glory hole.
I think you talking about Scatterboo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh gosh.
Hey man, listen. Ohio State Notre Dame championship. Notre Dame by 3.
Okay. All right. So you think the game would be a lot closer? Like I said, I have Ohio State by at least, I don't know what's the over under. I thought they were a +8. I got to look at the odds for that game. But again, I got Ohio State by a touchdown. But again, it'd be certainly the place will be rocking. So Shawnee, no interest in going. You right there, man. No interest in trying to get to this game.
No. Tickets are high. I'm like, hell. I think when UT played Clemson, because remember they hosted that playoff game, it was high as hell that game. I think they're gonna be even higher this game. Now, I'm not even trying to. I'm definitely not going to even try to risk driving on them roads at this time. So even if it was a dry day, I wouldn't be over there. It'd be too crowded.
I hear you, but again, even with the weather, you can't even have a like if you want to have just a party, just a watch party, you get some guys over and just check it out. I don't know if guys want to travel in the weather if it's as bad as you say it's going to be. So,
well, I'm just looking at this thing now. They did the Cotton Bowl did release a report regarding the weather, basically saying they are aware of this weather and how be the forecast. And right now, as planned, they will continue the game Friday evening as scheduled. Both teams are supposed to be arriving tomorrow. As long as they don't be here by tomorrow afternoon. If they come in the morning time, that's better. If they come in the afternoon, you're gonna be stuck.
I hear you. Betting line right now: Ohio State -5.5, and the over under is 53.5 points. They may be. I think they may go over 53.5. But like I said, I'll take the spread. I'll take the 5.5 at Ohio State. But again, good segment, guys, on certainly the college. Obviously, that was again, we didn't get a chance to catch up on that again with the holidays and whatnot. But definitely want to switch gears a little bit. Obviously, as I said earlier, this is my favorite time of the NFL season. Is wild card weekend. So you got 2 games on Saturday and Sunday, both conferences, and so this is just like the beginning. Obviously, my Steelers are in a tailspin, but the only thing that gives me hope is that obviously we go one more time against the Ravens, and those games are typically black and blue games, and I know certainly this last game got away from us a little bit, but certainly that game can come down to a field goal and whatnot. So I'll definitely be eyeing that 3-6 matchup. But I got to tell you, at least on the AFC side, the only team that's worrying me a little bit right now, just based on how they've been playing, I think the Broncos might be able to get that upset over the Bills. Call me crazy on that, but I think that give credit to the head coach. I think he's got those guys playing pretty well. His quarterback, playing pretty well. And if there was going to be an upset, I mean, obviously Steelers beating based on the rankings and certainly the records. Certainly, it would be an upset for especially the way we've been playing. The Steelers would certainly upset the Ravens, but something about the Broncos at this point, I think they're a live dog in this. I think certainly to Texas and Chargers, I think the Texans should win that game. It's a home game for them. So I'm definitely picking them out of that. But on from the AFC side, what do you see as the most intriguing game, and what do you see? Do you see a potential upset with the AFC bracket? And then we'll talk about the NFC bracket.
You go ahead, Coach.
I hate to bust your bubble, Mr. Bennett. Everything within the AFC, Bills, Ravens, Chargers, all will win.
Okay. Like I said, I've been upset over the Texans. You'll take the 5 over the 4, even though the Texans are playing home. I respect that. And like I said, it's a 50-50. The Steelers Ravens, to me, that's always a 50-50 game. They play each other tough. I think they have like almost identical records. I know Steelers have won, I think 8 out of the last 10 or something like that. But, past isn't necessarily a prologue here, but that's always like a 50-50 game. It's always black. So I have hope there. But Shawnee, what do you think coming out? What games intrigue you the most? Which ones you'll be eyeing?
Of course, I'm gonna watch all 3 games. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, yeah, you can watch all 3. You can watch because of the time thing. I just see Amazon and stole one.
Yeah.
But I think I actually think all 3 of these games are good matchup squads. You know, I think the Bills gonna take theirs. I don't know. It's kind of a toss up between the Steelers and the Ravens because this is one of those division rivals that's beaten for a 3rd time,
Correct.
and usually their games are fair, always close. Consider the last game.
Yeah.
They always so close. You really just can't call it.
Mhm.
That division was the Steelers to win, and they just kind of kicked the bucket.
Yeah.
Now the Texans and the Chargers. Of course, I'm a Texans fan. I want to say the Texans will win, but the Texans offense and right now, I was worried about this in the beginning because this is what happened when they had a good season out of the blue last year, in particular C.J. Stroud. The national media all of a sudden want to put their attention on you. They want to keep saying that, Stroud, pump him up, pump him up, pump him up. And you like, nah, just kind of how the Vikings are on the NFC side. I know we're going to get there, but the way they playing now, they still feel like they just under the radar. They're just playing very good. I wish the Texans, they would have left the Texans alone and let them just play under the radar and have them a good team. But they put them in that spotlight, in particular C.J. Stroud, and he has not had the same season the second year. You're talking about a dude that hit a sophomore wall.
Yeah.
In particular, his second half stats has just been, he was the main reason why they lost that game versus the Lions. They should have beat the Lions.
Yeah, that's the five interception game.
Yeah,
from,
and
Lions.
that one pass, we had a wide open receiver in the end zone, but he tried to just loft it up and he got intercepted. I believe I saw a stat last year. He had like 9. I can't remember. He had like deep passes, and he had 9 touchdowns and 0 interceptions on his deep passes. And this year he already had like I think 5 and 4 picks. He basically not playing the same. That's the main reason why I'm gonna have to probably say the Chargers because they've been playing more consistent. Because right now C.J. Stroud, I'm not saying he's going. He's not going to be no bust after just one bad season or subpar season. But right now in the NFL, timing is everything as far as what teams are going. That's why you were saying about the Broncos, potentially upsetting the Bills because they seem to be hot. But I don't know. I think the Chiefs kind of gave them a gift in that, in that game. But
they definitely arrested all their players. So I mean that's
how the Bengals was upset with them.
Right.
They didn't want to see it.
Right.
They pissed off at him, but yeah.
But Bo Nix is playing a lot better than I thought he would be this year out of this rookie class coming out. I think he's certainly.
Playoffs are different though. We're gonna see.
I know we have Daniels in for Washington, but Bo Nix, I wasn't expecting this. So again, I think he's playing with a lot of confidence, and I think that again that's going to be an intriguing game. I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on that one. But quickly moving to the NFC, and again, similar. Now, again, technically, I get it. He's not a sophomore, but you could almost say the same thing. You know how high I was on Jordan Love last year, and certainly not playing as well this year. I know they got some injuries going into this game as well. I think Yeah, for sure. And so the Eagles, I think that may be a romp. The 7-2 matchup. Buccaneers, Commanders. Again, Daniels. You see, like the moment doesn't faze him, and I think he is he's dangerous. I think Washington is a dangerous team in this, except for the Lions. I think the Lions, they may beast over everybody, the way they've been playing. But Washington, they're going to make some noise, I think, in the NFC run. So I'll pick the 6-3, and I don't even look at it as an upset. I think certainly the Buccaneers just in the benefit they won in their division. But I look at the Commanders as the favorite in that game. And then as far as the Vikings and the Rams, again, the Vikings have been playing pretty well. I think I'll take that. I'll take that upset also. Again, LA just conveniently because they won their division, but I got the Vikings over the Rams. So Shawnee, how do you see the NFC breaking?
Well, I have the Eagles. I actually have the Buccaneers over the Commanders because the Buccaneers are, now that
Wow.
Mike Evans returned, they got a good offense. Now they still missing Godwin. He's out for
Mhm.
the season. But I got the Buccaneers over the Commanders. Now this last game is Rams. Rams remind me of UT. How I was saying like they're a good team, but they inconsistent at times. The
Right.
Rams are like that because they can beat the Vikings. With the Vikings, I don't look at the game they played with the Lions because they had chances in that game, but Darnold just kept missing throws left and right. That game would have been a whole lot closer versus the Lions. He had all those 0 for 6, 0 for 7 in the red zone.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the Rams don't really have. They don't really have that home field advantage
They
like you may
don't.
think because they get a lot of
That
people
place
coming
is
there.
no,
Now, if
not
it
at
was
all.
in Vikings, they definitely would have had a home field advantage.
Right.
But that LA stadium they have, both them and the Chargers, they don't they always seem to get more people from the other team
Facts.
louder than them.
Absolutely.
So I don't
Absolutely.
know. Vikings may have a chance in that game because I think their fans are going to come up and show out. So I
sure.
got the Vikings.
Gotcha. Coach, how do you see the NFC breaking down?
Let me see. I think Philly, Washington, Vikings all win their first round. Yeah, I see that. I think because Philly's running attack is going to be hard to deal with. Like you said, Daniels, man, he just seems to have it in the big moments, close games he's having. Baker Mayfield is inconsistent to me. Vikings, they have to redeem themselves from last week, even though I think, yeah, but it's going to come down to their kicking game, though. So if their kicking game has anything to do with it, it could be a long day for the Vikings, but I see Philly, Washington, and the Vikings all winning their first rounds. As far as the overall, I think Philly. I'm looking. Here's my. I don't think we touched on it, but my Super Bowl, I'm going with Philly and Baltimore.
Philly, Baltimore. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
I could see Philly getting there. I could see Philly.
Lions look so good, though. I mean that.
I think, like I mentioned, the Lions. I think their defense, that's going to be their albatross because they got so much injuries. Right now with the regular season,
game.
yeah, but regular season, like I say, Darnold missed a whole lot of throws because that game would have been a whole lot closer if he would hit them throws. But with the regular season, the teams you play throughout the week, you could be better than this team, closer. Your defense can can kind of get by. But once you go against a team that's your equal, and you have all those injuries on defense, I think Saquon probably can expose them.
Mm-hmm.
And but one interesting thing I forgot. First, I want to say much prayers to those out there in LA dealing with this fire. I think those wildfires, they may have something to say about this Rams game. I forgot about that, and I know we were talking about home field advantage. That game may be moved to a neutral site. So that's gonna be something to keep.
Yeah, we definitely got to monitor that one and see see what happens. But yeah, definitely thoughts on those who are once again certainly dealing with those situations out there. But I don't know. I've been betting. I picked Kansas City against the field the entire year, and I'm not jumping off of that at this point. As ugly as they've looked in this entire run, But again, there is the playoff Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and that defense tends to show up. So I'm not getting off that. I still think certainly Kansas City, I think, will still represent the AFC. And again, the Lions to me, I think they're clicking on all cylinders there. Sort of, so I'm picking the guys at the bottom overall. I think so. Jordan Daniels, I think he'll make some noise, but I think I think the Lions are the most complete team right now. And you take really the game you talked about earlier against Houston. That was the only real blip that I saw the whole season. But I just think on both sides of the ball, I think they're just the strongest team. And they lost, I think, Aiden Hutchinson, and still they haven't missed a beat. So I'm gonna be. That'll be mine, but there'll be plenty of time to talk about it as we go through the playoffs, and certainly as we get closer and see when the dust settles, who's still in this thing, and what are the possibilities going forward. But I think as we get ready for closing thoughts, so I know one of the points that we wanted to talk about was I know Tyreek Hill, who's basically made it very known, I guess, that he wants to get out of Miami. This the same guy who thought that Tua was better than Patrick Mahomes, or that he was in a bit. Yeah, so I'm sure he's regretting that decision regarding that in his future and just everything that went down in Miami this year with the arrests and all the, all those things. Again, is he going to be one of those guys who may be more trouble than he's worth? Going to another squad, going to another franchise, are people going to be ready for that? So I don't know how you guys feel about that. As we can talk about that, and then also I know we had talked about Jimmy Butler. Again, so like everybody wants out of Miami. What's this between Tyreek Hill and Jimmy Butler? What's going on in Miami, man? Miami used to be the hot destination. Everybody wanted to be there. And you got to the two biggest players, arguably, in Miami, want to leave their prospective franchises. So I don't know what's going on down there, man. But I just find it interesting that both of these guys are out. So any commentary on that you guys have as as we go to closing thoughts?
With Tyreek, it was stated today. The coach said that he mentioned nothing about a trade during the exit meetings today. He didn't say anything. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out over the summer. I think he lost favor with the traffic incident in a sense because he wasn't, highlighted, as the main receiver, even though they had a receiver out. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out over the summer. Any team that gets him would automatically have an upgrade, even if he's not a feature as he wants to be. Any team that gets him, that's an automatic upgrade. I can see Baltimore getting him, and then, but Jimmy Butler, he's done this everywhere he's gone. He's a true diva of the NBA. I don't think he should have got suspended for 7 games just because he said he didn't believe he can have his joy back. But, this is the NBA. I would have just kept my mouth shut, played it out, and let things happen towards the end of the season. He's been in the league long enough. He's not going to garner no 180 million. Take your little 120 million and finish your career, on a high note. But I think, it was a little excessive, and that's why the players I think association union is sort of appealing it. So he's going to serve at least 4 games, I know, but I'll just be quiet at this point. It's no sense. You do it everywhere you go, and it becomes a bad light on you if you, So especially at the latter days of your career, I'll give him 3 or 4 more good years.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Shawnee, what do you got?
Well, Tyreek Hill, I think this is his first time in his career. I think he didn't make the playoffs. Right now, he's just speaking out of emotions. I heard Stephen A. Smith. He kept talking about when Tyreek talking about he got to make the best decision for his family. Like, you say Stephen A. brought up a point. Your family come into play when you try to talk about money. Well, they don't got nothing to do with this with your team. Man. This is just you and your team. Um, but yeah, he just all his emotions because he missed the playoffs and whatnot. You got to remember, dude, your quarterback was out a good quarter of the season for this concussion. So maybe
Right.
if he was playing, y'all probably be in there. But yeah, now with Jimmy Butler, he's their top played player. But if you look at the stats, his usage rate on the squad is low. There's some other dudes on some second, third level players on the team who gets more usage than him. And the whole 7 game, that was given by the team more and more particular Pat Riley. Even though Pat Riley is an old school dude. Pat Riley, if there's if there's anybody in the NBA who still have this aura about him or this standard about him, because you always hear about the Heat culture. Pat Riley established that culture.
Mhm.
It's basically he's the Don down there in Miami. He run Miami South Beach, and what Jimmy Butler was mentioning in that interview, he basically there was games when he wasn't giving his all neither. He was kind of lackadaisical.
Mm.
And then he talking about the comments in this interview. I think that was just the last straw. And Pat Riley, that's just the Heat players already have to keep a certain weight, so they so strict about that. So if his players come up there running the mouth and not giving the effort like that, Pat Riley not gonna play that. So
Right.
but yeah, that's between
So do you think he may drop him? I
Miami.
mean, what do you think is the? I know you said he may not be sort of suspension, but or do you think they have plans to move him, or what do you think is the next move?
I think they probably will. Because he's not, he's not giving his all. So they probably.
Yeah.
I don't know where he's gonna ultimately go, but I think he won't mind being in Phoenix, and I think Phoenix wants him. They just don't. They got to put a package together that can make it be attractive. Because I think Bradley Bill's contract is what everybody's running away from. They don't want it.
Right. Right. And currently in the West, I think Phoenix is a 12th seed right now. They're 16 and 19. The Miami's actually 6th seed right now. They have a winning record still. And so, again, why make all that noise at this point when you're basically still in playoff contention? Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people weren't appreciating that. But with that, I think we're certainly coming to the end of the show. Again, good to have you guys with us. Thanks for hopping on with us this year. And, we certainly plan to have shows going forward week to week. And certainly for our brother Dante, hopefully you got home safe, if anything. Just get home safe in this crazy weather out here. Hopefully we'll catch you on the next one. But we appreciate you guys coming in. But hang on, before we go, we got to hear from the coach. So, Coach, as always, we're going to keep this thing going. You got to close us out on a positive note. So tell these folks what they need to be doing.
Well, again, man, we coming to the end of the football season, man. Everybody's gonna go into training mode. So, man, salute to everybody starting out the new year, man, trying to be in a better space physically and mentally, man. Don't ever feel like you can't do it. It is a marathon and not a sprint, man. So take your time, eat healthier, slowly pick up your cardio, man. Throw a little weights on there. If you're not quite sure what to do, follow my man, Mr. Bennett. He's always on his Instagram, lifting up the whole state of Pennsylvania, man, squatting the entire stadium, man. So yeah, man, just take your time, man. Do your research, find some healthy recipes, man. Incorporate exercise, man. Take care of your health, man. Everybody get their checkups, man, in the next 90 days. Even you, Shawnee, man, get all your health checkups, man. Everybody, even you, BMU, get your checkups. Lost in translation, everybody. Check up January, February. We here, man. Let's do it, man, for real.
Yes, sir. I know people still in New Year's resolution mode and whatnot to get healthy or whatnot, but try to make it a lifestyle. So, but
Hey,
with
for
that,
that New Year's resolution, y'all don't celebrate. Is it next Friday? Yeah, y'all make sure y'all don't celebrate next Friday.
okay.
What's the next Friday?
Well, I think it's this Friday because they call this Friday the second Friday of the month of January. They call it Quitters Day. A
Oh,
lot of people, yeah, it's a legit like non-official. I don't want to say
really?
holiday, but you can Google it. They Quitters Day.
Someone, you put so much emphasis in creating a holiday. If you would have just put a little more interest into what got on your plate, or a little more work in the gym, you'd be better
everybody
off.
had these New Year's
But I'm saying,
resolutions.
but the work. I'm saying, but the work that somebody had to put into the establish this is National Quitters Day. Unreal, man. Only in America, man.
They probably won't make that a national holiday because they'll look at it as a negative. Right now, today's society, we ain't trying to.
I hope not. I hope not. But again, once again, we thank you guys.
You better not quit your damn job.
There you go. Amen. Amen.
Well, they really talking about because everybody be having these New Year's resolutions. Everybody's so gung ho. You see it at the gym. Everybody want to lose weight by the second Friday of that month. They gone. They quit. So ain't New Year's resolution.
Give yourself 10 days, man.
Yep.
10 days, your body's in shock.
You don't even make a habit in 10 days.
Well, they say 21 is you say 21 days make a habit, but so at least try to get to through the month. But that's why I never get even on vacation. I still trained, still got leg day, upper body day.
Yeah, I saw your video on that social media.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It wasn't quite the same because when I got home in the dungeon, man, I'm telling you, my legs, I did squats today. I mean, the first week back was like horrible. I just had my whole posterior chain was just jacked up. I'm feeling a lot better now. Looking to build back up to it, but yeah, it was nothing like the dungeon. And but so the vacation stuff, that's kind of like maintenance stuff. But I need to be in the hardcore grimy spot, and I need a squat rack. That's one thing, Coach, I don't think I'll ever give up is squatting. I'm not trying to squat 500, but I got to be in that rack, man. That rack that does some things. So, but with that, guys, thanks once again for joining us tonight. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the games again. So the college playoffs again starts tomorrow and Friday. So the Final Four there, and again NFL Wild Card Weekend. Again, for me, the best weekend of the year. Certainly looking forward to those games as well. So enjoy your holidays. Enjoy and keep those resolutions. We'll see you next week on the BME One-on-One Sports Show. For myself, Mr. Bennett, Brother Shawnee, and the coach, and Brother Dante in absentia. We'll see you next week. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.
We ready? Who ready? We ready? Who ready? Who? We ready? Who? Who ready? Who? We ready? Who? Motivation to youth only. Mentally feel like Kobe. I'm like Jokic with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me. I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. Euro step like Ginobili from young OG to the OG. From nosebleeds to floor seats. Circle stronger than Cuban links. My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's a reach.